don't think that'll be the choice here to go blind.
Here's one that's not banned out. The Olaf has made it through bans. And is first picked here by Cloud9. Very powerful pick in the current state of the jungle. The other bans that came through on top of the Renekton and Camille were Thresh, Pantheon, Lulu, and Twisted Fate banned out by TL, so they don't want Perkz back on that one here in this second game. What is the response to an Olaf, Team Liquid? How are you going to play this one up against that champion? Hovering back and forth between a couple of different options here.
I mean, he's probably just trolling around, but I think it could be Talia or Udyr, right? It's going to be one or the other. I am a little bit surprised that they decided to go with the Udyr instead of the Talia, perhaps just feeling like, hey, you're actually too squishy in this matchup. You know, you can pop the Ragnarok, just run straight in, take him down. Going for their marksman pick here pretty early. Prioritizing the Kaisa very, very heavily here, but it does mean Senna is available, and that's going to be a quick lock down in that bottom lane. And it's actually Senna Tahm Kench. This is only, I want to say, the second Tahm Kench pick of all of Lock-In. Zven has been fantastic on this pick, but I do think when you're going Senna TK and you already have the Olaf, you are kind of broadcasting that we want to run at you. We want to be this composition that is going to dive in, because you don't just have Olaf on his own in a peel back style of composition. You generally have to draft additional dive buddies, have the Senna ultimate coming out over top. So I do think that TL can be cognizant of that, look to ban out some things. They've already got some disengage here with the Azir, so probably going to be trying to protect Perkz with these next couple bans, or rather protect Jensen from Perkz with these next couple bans, and just decide how they want to play it out. Because I think with what they have, they can easily try to play to disengage, to kite back, and absorb the engage that Cloud9 I think is going to be clearly looking for.
Yeah, you have so much damage with Kaisa and Azir as your carries so far drafted for Team Liquid. Both of these champions scale incredibly well and have a huge DPS potential, provided they aren't having to deal with Olaf right up on top of them, making life miserable. So, as you said, addressing the mid lane here with the bans for Team Liquid, trying to make Jensen's life a bit easier, banning out one of the staples there in the Orianna. The response from Cloud9 is more top lane, and a little bit more top lane. It's 3 out of 4 bans targeted specifically at Alphari here in this second game. We'll see if we get to 4 out of 5, a whopping 80%, as there's your second mid lane ban. Both of those traditional mage mid laners that we've seen pretty much every season since their addition of 2 League of Legends, Syndra and Orianna, both banned out here by Team Liquid. Wanting to get Perkz to play something a little bit more risky, perhaps. Cloud9, what's that final ban?
It'll be funny if it's just another top lane ban. It's like, because the problem is Alphari can play a lot of different champions. He's not a guy with a small champion pool. He is excellent at the carry top laners.
It is.
And it is 4 out of 5 banned towards Alphari. It's like, please stop beating me and leave me alone. Just want to play some League of Legends.
But the Jax is still open from last game. His pick from the first game is still available. So I'm very curious what Cloud9 wants to pick here, because you can see Team Liquid hovering this pike. Seems like they want to leave that top lane as the very last pick here, utilizing the power of red lane's draft advantage, or maybe not. Okay, never mind. They're going to leave the last pick here for CoreJJ and lock in the Gnar blind.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, it's like you banned 4 things away from TL in the top lane, and he got Gnar, right? A lot of people are very happy just blind picking Gnar anyway. So unless there's some incredible counter pick here that Cloud9 have cooked up that's just going to blast this Gnar to oblivion, I feel like it's hard to feel amazing about your draft. Top lane Karma is an option. This could, of course, be a flex towards mid as well. I want to see if Perkz is going to bring something spicy out. Is he going to give us, a Kaisa and a LeBlanc, a Lucian, something to try to just slam, this Azir? I don't think we're going to go Kassadin.
We got
Perkz going with the LeBlanc. Okay, I like this a lot. And I think it makes sense, right? I think that you want to play something that has the aggressive potential to actually dive in. I talked about how Olaf does need a dive buddy. I think the LeBlanc is going to be that, right? And you do have the Karma here to kind of speed up, shield up the Olaf to try to give additional value to that Olaf towards the late game. Blitz would be really interesting here. And it
will be.
I was honestly expecting something more along the lines of just an Alistar to play bodyguard here towards their backline. Bodyguard for the Kaisa, for the Azir. But instead, they are looking for the pick potential. You can actually just hook into Tahm Kench and kill him off. I do think there are some pretty difficult targets, though, because, if you're looking for the LeBlanc, high mobility there. Blaber can also just activate his ultimate to immune the hook. And Tahm Kench, when it comes to team fight time, isn't really going to be who you're wanting to hook. So it's going to be more about if you can actually connect with Zven. But of course, the Tahm Kench can be there to save you from that hook. So pretty interesting couple of drafts. A little bit of a mix of engage. It does feel like the Blitz is a bit of a step away from what I feel like the rest of the composition probably wants to do. But it does give them some aggressive options, gives them the chance for picks. It gives them a chance to actually dive in, potentially, use the Udyr and the Gnar aggressively instead of just peeling back with a Kaisa and Azir. Try to turn this around into a more aggressive look, utilizing the Azir, Shrema Shuffle, utilizing the Kaisa ultimate to just dive back in and try to actually catch C9 off guard. And for Cloud9, it feels like it's pretty much largely on the shoulders of Blaber here. I do think that you have to have a really strong game on this Olaf to justify the Karma top, to justify 100%. Having this more supportive style coming out from the Senna. Of course, Senna these days, we are seeing some mixed up builds, so it's not always just kind of this purely supportive style. I do believe that Zven went for lethality yesterday, but in solo queue, there's actually something I've been seeing quite a bit of, which is the Kraken Slayer and Rageblade, and people are actually getting so much crit from the passive that then increases the on-hit damage of the Rageblade, right? Because that is actually based on the crit that you have. So it's actually a pretty interesting high DPS build, and I'm going to be excited to see if Zven wants to mix it up, or if he's just going to be going more standard lethality, looking to ult over top Blaber. He gets shielded up by the Karma additionally, and just tries to run over this game.
And Zven is such an excellent Senna player, too. Senna's one of those champions that not every marksman succeeds incredibly on. The playstyle is very different. Obviously, the champion was designed as something that can be played as both an AD carry or a support. But I think Zven plays it wonderfully. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do on it this game, especially with that third summoner spell of a Tahm Kench right next to him the entire time to be able to keep him alive and keep him safe. Because this is the guy that could carry on Senna in like a 1v9 type of situation. Wow. And we've seen Cloud9 put Fudge on supportive champions before. That's why the Lulu keeps getting banned away by TL. They're keeping Fudge off of that supportive pick there in the top side. We know the power of things like the Moonstone Renewer combined with the Staff of Flowing Water if he just wants to be another support for the squad. A lot of pressure on Blaber, a lot of pressure on Zven. Let's see if C9 can bring it back.
I'm actually really surprised, but I was just looking up some stats on the Senna because I was thinking to myself, he is a pretty good Senna, isn't he? Well, turns out he actually hasn't lost the game on it. He's 7-0
that's pretty good.
On the Senna in pro play. He's pretty good.
How many in 0?
7-0. So pretty damn impressive to still not drop a single game. It's going to be fasting Senna. So he's actually starting here with the support item. And this does mean that it's going to be more early gold onto Vulcan. One of the reasons we're seeing the return of this is because of the increase in souls dropped from minions that you did not CS for the support Senna. So you can actually just farm souls very heavily. Your early game gold income is going to come from that support item. And then generally speaking, once you hit that 1k earn from the support item and that is fully completed, we'll see the Senna start to be the one picking up the minions, to start farming for herself, to try to continue having enough gold income to really push the build forward. So this is another one of the takes that you can look for in this build, and going to be pretty interesting to see how this actually does go.
Well, already an immediate departure from what we think when we see Blitzcrank in a solo queue environment. The game does not turn into a level 1 Fiesta because he exists. Instead, it's just going to be a casual clear over here as Santorin starts up at his blue buff. Meanwhile, Blaber has not cleared anything except a single camp. He started at enemy Raptors, steals those away, and then heads back into his own jungle.
Going to be pretty nice, just going for that double Raptors style of play. You do have a very quick clear there, and he knows he has that LeBlanc around him to help him out if anything did break out.
Also worth pointing out that Jensen has Comet here on the Azir, which is one of those champions I feel like we see it sort of split between Comet and Lethal Tempo for if you want to go for the late game plays versus more laning power. So Jensen having a lot of respect for the LeBlanc here and making sure that he gets out of this lane at the top possible level.
Exactly. A lot of people really do like it in the range versus range matchups also. You're going to get more value just with the Comet poke than you are, with Lethal Tempo against someone especially like the LeBlanc, who is pretty evasive. Perkz also, speaking of impressive win rates, 78.3% career win rate in 23 games on the LeBlanc, one of his best champions historically. Has been really, really good on this, both internationally and regionally in Europe, but taking a pretty rough trade there, as Jensen going to be forcing him to use at least a lot of his potions.
Yeah, Jensen with a good sidestep there on the chains. Make sure he can close up and follow up with that distance immediately. Gets the passive out of Perkz too, so if Santorin wants to show up in mid lane, which I highly doubt he wants to do, he will have a bit easier time here. Instead, he's just camping up this top side here. He's ready for the Scuttle Crab to spawn. He wants to take it as soon as it's available. Remember that Team Liquid did see Blaber just sort of walk through mid lane after he started, and then when Santorin goes into his own top side and sees that the chicken camp is gone, he can surmise that Blaber went through mid down to the bottom side and is clearing bottom to top. So he denies Blaber being able to get the Scuttle Crab that he wants, and now Santorin, with this proper pathing and reading what was going on with Blaber's movements in mid, gets to double crab him, and that feels great as a jungler. As the pings are coming out, Santorin's saying, hey, my chicken camp is back up. This is what Olaf wants to do. He just wants to steal this away every time. Let's go stop him. Now, granted, the big chicken has already been secured, but those little ones are still available here for Santorin.
I actually think this is a pretty clever adaptation, though, from Blaber. Yes, he does get double scuttled, but if you don't feel that you can actually prevent that, well, he took Raptors on spawn, and then he actually, instead of meeting him at that bottom scuttle, just went straight to the Raptors on respawn again to steal them away. You know, Santorin was quick to get over there, so he didn't get the full camp, but I do think that's a pretty smart look. And he actually delayed his red buff this whole time, so he's going to get a really late red buff, which is going to give him combat power a little bit later on, right? He's basically saying, hey, I don't want to fight early on. I don't need the red buff for my clear. I'll take this a little bit later, hopefully be able to get some sort of a buy and maybe look for a fight or even a dragon solo, you know, very early with that red buff.
This is reminding me of back in the day, like Season 6 solo queue jungling strats where you could delay the buff take to second clear to be able to get more value out of it with having it up when your ulti's going to be up, back when jungle was super broken. But enough about that. We got to get back into the current game here as the dragon's about to spawn, and on my way pings are coming out as Blaber immediately has his eyes set on it. Now, of course, Scuttle Crab vision is still there, so Blaber tossing the axe into the pit, bringing the Drake out. And now I don't think it'll really matter too much if they get seen. You can see the ping from the side of Team Liquid saying, hey, Cloud9's on that. There's nothing they can do about it, man. Santorin's all the way on the other end of the map. So that's a nice early Ocean Drake. Really good to have this early on in the laning phase for C9.
Yeah, this is great. And I actually think this is kind of the path that Kobe was talking about for the early Dragon solo, where you forgo those early buffs to get the extra respawn of the mini camps, get additional experience, and then you have the delayed buffs to actually use on that Dragon take. So, you know, if not the exact same one he was talking about yesterday, it is very similar, and I'm sure we'll get to hear him talk about it on the desk, as he's always really into these jungle paths that these guys are taking. But I'm definitely a fan of it, and we can see Alphari here just up on that top side, utilizing the ultimate to just push in the wave, get that reset, go back to base, as he had not done that yet. And he has taken a very defensive setup for this lane. Second wind, fleet footwork, Doran's shield, makes it incredibly difficult for the Karma to poke you out. And if it doesn't honestly happen in that first kind of set of laning, it's usually not going to happen at all. Because you're going towards the Bandle Glass Mirror, you're going for that supportive style, you're not really going to see Fudge be building at all for the 1v1. And the lane kind of just gets tougher and tougher because you can't actually poke out and push out the Gnar, then you really can't fight him whatsoever.
And down back in bottom lane, Zven here sitting on, what is that, 22 souls here?
That's really good.
We'll want to keep track of that throughout the game, seeing how quickly and effectively he's able to amass those. Remember, the range on the champion can get quite ridiculous if this game goes super late. We're talking 35, 40 minutes. He's been properly farming souls the entire time. He can just start shooting people from halfway across the screen, and it's pretty obnoxious to play against if you have to deal with it, especially with a champion like Kaisa, who's meant to dive in, so doesn't have a ton of range without fully committing to things. Back in mid lane, both of these guys are up at level 6. You can see the same story being told for the top laners, but with Gnar's ulti being conditional and Karma not having a true ulti, the level 6 matters much more here for these mid lane champions. You can see a 2-wave farm advantage for Jensen as well. So doing a good job here against Perkz in the 1v1. Even with Perkz being on that champion, he has so much experience.
Yeah, I mean, he's been laning very, very well. Also got some help out from Santorin because Perkz was actually looking to reset. We saw Udyr just show up mid, look to try to potentially freeze the wave, force Perkz to stay around, and those delayed recalls and awkward kind of minion setups can be pretty impactful in those CS differences, but not to take away from Jensen, who has been fantastic really throughout lock-in. Has been very, very good, and so much talk was about Perkz and how Perkz was just going to run over the league when the announcement did come out that he was going to be joining Cloud9, but it's Jensen who has had a much better tournament thus far.
And taking a look at the overall score between the teams, it's a couple hundred gold lead here for Cloud9 as they continue farming up. You can see Olaf doing what Olaf does, even against a fast farming jungler like an Udyr. Olaf still has a nice lead there, but it's a play coming out top lane here as Blaber tries to get something done, but CoreJJ with a beautiful hook onto Zven. Senna just goes fishing, and the boy lands the biggest one in the whole pond.
Yeah, that is a huge kill. That really hurts because C9's bot lane was doing so well in that 2v2, farming out so many souls, not really being pressured at all by the Blitzcrank. Felt like it wasn't getting value, and then CoreJJ out of thin air nails the hook. But on the top side, they did kill off Gnar. Oh, now Perkz is just dead.
CoreJJ already getting a kill onto Perkz now, too. Blaber goes after the Rift Herald, but now he's going to be killed off before he even gets any support. Everything is crumbling to pieces as Rift Herald will go over to Team Liquid, and they even get it gift-wrapped in a Olaf wrapping paper.
Oh, that is terrible for Cloud9. Everything just went wrong. It's kind of a flashback to the last game where Alphari gets killed off, TP's back in, and just immediately kills them. You know, like, they did kill him off with the gank. We didn't see it. It was off screen as that bot lane 2v2 fight was happening, but we may get a replay of that. We're going to get this bot lane play first. And we'll just have to track this. Did Sven step a little bit too far forward? No, that was actually really perfect. I love that setup. That is beautiful. So what they did is they actually autoed each of the range minions so that they were very low, then used the Kaisa Q to execute 3 ranged minions at the same time as the hook is going out. So you could expect one low minion to get killed off, but you don't really expect people to kill off all 3 at the same time like that. So that was an insane setup from Tactical and CoreJJ. Then just up on this top side, Alphari getting burst down. But of course, we did see the follow-up to that play. Was Blaber dying? Was TL grabbing the Rift Herald? And also CoreJJ getting what was, I think, funny enough, a solo kill on Perkz.
Yup. CoreJJ is now 2-0 here on this Blitzcrank. Oh, I love watching this man play support. It is indeed a treat every single time on these playmakers. CoreJJ's Blitzcrank, man. And unfortunately, right now, Zven is the poorest player in the game due to the fact that he is, for all intents and purposes, the support during the laning phase, as you already explained how fasting Senna works. And considering he was the first one killed down here in bottom lane, he's got a little bit of catching up to do. But Blaber has showed up. Santorin's coming in now too. CoreJJ going for the pull. Vulcan steps correctly and avoids that one as Zven goes for a little bit of CC. Santorin is down here, not on top of a ward. If C9 sticks around too long, TL could go for a punish, but no, Santorin will just walk it back away. But the Drake is live. CoreJJ coming around from the side. If he can get a cheeky pull here, it could do a lot. Olaf has the Ragnarok ready to go, so you don't want to drag a Ragnaroking Olaf, or a Ragnarok-capable Olaf to you. As assist me pings, all my way pings, all that good stuff's coming out. Perkz has just teleported back to the mid lane tier 1 turret. Santorin has control over the Drake pit, and Cloud9 says, all right, not worth it. Not worth it, walk away.
Yep, they will just have to give that up, but you know, it does mean that despite the fact that they actually TP back to mid lane, Perkz down 20 plus CS at this point, you know, really is falling behind against Jensen, and they do give up really what was their only advantage right now in the Drake stacking. You can see the Moonstone Renewer is finished though. You can see the Gore Drinker is done for Blaber, so that is very good things happening for their 2v2 top. Let's watch this one more time, as I think this was the preamble to Perkz getting killed off probably by CoreJJ.
Yeah.
Perkz is just how he ended up pushed out and did end up going up towards their jungle. Does kind of escape here from Jensen, but Core on the roam eventually did find him and kill him off.
And Jensen goes all the way. Oh, he flashes over the wall, and then Perkz flashes back. Perkz feels like he got away with the great bamboozling, and then nope. You are up against Team Liquid, which means you're up against CoreJJ. There is no escape on that side as the Rift Herald is summoned up here in mid to put a lot of damage on the tier 1 turret. And Team Liquid is up to a 2,000 gold lead here 12 minutes into the game, and that is nothing to scoff at. Cloud9 has got to make sure they stop this bleeding before the lead balloons any further.
They really do, and I want to see Blaber continue to get proactive. I want to see him try to push the pace here, you know, group up with the Karma, see what they can get done, because Karma has that really cheap mythic item. This is a very strong point in the game for her. If she is grouped up with someone else, having the Moonstone Renewer, if you can get a 2v2 you know, with your Olaf who has Gore Drinker and your Karma who has Moonstone against that Gnar and that Udyr, it should go your way, unless you are really getting both hit by a full Gnar combo or something.
Perkz tries to go after Jensen. Sven's ulti comes through and sets it up for Blaber to be able to just grab the kill there on that finishing blow. Perkz down to 100 HP, but that's still plenty enough as Cloud9 gets their second kill of the game.
Yeah, just barely able to actually distort out of CoreJJ's ultimate there. Core still going to try to freeze this up. Shouldn't be able to do it as will be pushed in there by the Olaf. But up on this top side, it does mean Alphari is going to have a little bit of free time here. Will take probably 2 plates, which is very, very nice for him. Impressive farming, though, by Zven. He already has 50 souls, if I saw that correctly, which is pretty insane this early on. He has been doing such a good job of constantly farming souls, not just from the ones that are dropping from the minions, but actually farming them from the enemy champions. And this has got to be the fastest pace we have seen in the LCS. It feels like by a long shot. And that is one of the downsides to taking some of these melee supports against a Senna, because when you are playing the Blitzcrank, if you're not in a position to actually hook, you don't really have any innate threat, right? It's not like you're going to lose a trade for walking up and hitting this guy as long as you're behind minions. So it is giving him a lot of safety to step forward with the Tahm Kench behind him and constantly hit that auto Q on tactical, hit the auto Q on CoreJJ, and just farm those souls, because he's nearly at the 3rd ranged upgrade, and it's only 14 minutes.
Yeah, it is every 20 souls equals 25 range, so nearly at a plus 75 will go a long way as we're getting closer to those big team fights. It's much more important to have that longer range. It's sort of the same thing that we discuss about when Kindred's in the game and Kindred wanting to get the first range upgrade before the team fights break out, right? Well, if Zven can keep piling up all this extra range, it will make things significantly more difficult for Team Liquid. Tactical continuing to farm up down here by himself as CoreJJ and Santorin were shadowing, but seeing that this won't turn into a whole lot of PvP very soon. Santorin is back out onto the map looking elsewhere. Does see that bottom side Scuttle Crab is about to spawn. You can see they're invading the enemy jungle, setting down some vision, but they won't find much as Perkz and Blaber are up here on the top side of the map. Perkz grabbing that blue buff for some extra mana regeneration. Santorin continuing to clear out the vision here in mid lane. And TL's doing a bit of a rotation, getting everybody ready here. It's a 4-man push into mid lane. But as soon as they see Blaber, and there comes the Tahm Kench as well, they're respecting how quickly C9 can collapse. They indeed brought all 5 players here to protect that mid lane turret.
So now C9 just wants a group. They're actually ready to fight. Because they gave Tahm Kench the early farm, he has a quick mythic item. He already has his Locket. So you have Locket and you have Moonstone. Insane value on those, and nice sidestep by Perkz. He's still in trouble.
Udyr's still after him. Vulcan goes over the wall with a flash just to make sure he's safe, and Santorin wants to get back away. Senna ulti comes out. Azir tries to drop the wall, but Santorin surely will fall here, and Blaber picks up the kill. Cloud9 ties the kills up in this game 3-3.
A lot of flashes, summoners spent, ultimates spent there, but they do kill off the jungler, and this should mean probably a free dragon for them. Santorin will be respawning just as the dragon comes up, so if Cloud9 are actually prepped for it, they could try to rush it down, but with resets coming out now, I'm not convinced they'll actually be there in time to really capitalize, so it may just end up being that 1 kill. But Cloud9 is just happy to take any fight, really, at this point in the game. When you have that 1 item completed on a lot of champions, Alphari might actually just straight up kill Fudge.
Alphari with the flash into the Mega Gnar and throws a rock at his head to finish off the kill. 1v1, Alphari gets it done. The boy is on the board here for Team Liquid.
Nicely done. He has the Stride Breaker, just laying in wait for Fudge there, takes him down. Despite Fudge flashing away, the flash was there to follow with the Mega Gnar, and C9 will get the dragon on the other side of the map, so not too bad for them. The only problem is going to be you're still going to have someone answering Gnar in this side lane. So back to that mid lane play. Chains landed on Jensen. Great sidestep on that hook from CoreJJ. And then it's the turnaround as Vulcan flashes in, Blaber flashes in, and you can just run straight through that Azir wall, as that Olaf gets straight up on Santorin, and you can see that true damage from the E absolutely knocking him down. And putting Perkz in the side lane against Alphari, maybe he can hold, but he's down 2 levels, and this is not going to be a winning matchup for him by any means. So LeBlanc is honestly in a bit of a tough spot. You want LeBlanc to be having the initiative here.
Oh, Alphari's just going to knock the turret over. He don't care. And goodbye Tier 1 turret on the top side. 2-0 turret lead for TL. Alphari turns back into Mini Gnar, and that will give him the speed and mobility he needs to escape any sort of punishment here from Cloud9 despite Blaber's presence. But C9 isn't exactly focused on the little Yordle up there. Instead, they want the Rift Herald, as it is now ready here for that second usage.
So one thing I do want to talk about a little bit is that I think one of the best answers to these kind of like just Moonstone, multi-supports, group up, and 5v5 comps is actually just playing side lanes, right? You just refuse to group. You say, all right, great. You built Moonstone and Staff of Flowing Water. Now play side lane for the next 20 minutes against the Gnar, who built for the 1v.
Have fun.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So I do think the fact that Alphari is actually winning is a really big deal because he can try to force people to come to him. And Cloud9 is going to be depending upon stacking dragons to force the answer. If they can get this next dragon and then in 8 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, be forcing that potential soul fight, that is where their window is going to be. But if TL get this next dragon, Alphari just has all the time in the world to continuously draw people to the side lane, to pull this team apart, and give TL the time to build up the items they need, to get the lead they need, to be able to absorb any possible 5v5 or engage that Cloud9 can look for.
Cloud9 do now have the Sterix gauge completed on Blaber. So that Gore Drinker Sterix gauge 1-2 punch of why doesn't he die? I'm going to go make a Reddit thread about this for Olaf that has been prevalent throughout the entirety of preseason is up and running. He's ready to be the big tank in the team fights if, as you've expressed, they can get a team fight. If Team Liquid agrees to meet them in open ground in a 5v5. Jensen and Perkz in a 1v1. Jensen losing more HP there. His tactical going after Vulcan and CoreJJ yet again. He flashes, he gets the pull, and Vulcan is dead.
Oh, CoreJJ from downtown. The max range hook there. I don't think a lot of people would have flashed for that. That was the very tip of that hook. Barely pulling him in as Alphari. He knows the only counter to Olaf, the wall.
Walls. Just have a wall on top of him. Zven's getting dove on. Tactical's going in. Santorin is here, and so is CoreJJ. Oh, Tactical setting it up for the rest of the team to help him out. Fudge shows up to chase after these guys, but a Moonstone Renewer Karma's not going to be much of a damage threat on his own. There's your dive as Blaber's grabbing a shutdown, but now it's a double kill over to Blaber before he dies too. Alphari's in the back, and he's going after Fudge and Perkz. You got Vulcan coming in here for the backup, and Alphari's dead underneath the tier 2 turret. Team Liquid starts it off right, but Cloud9 responds better, and they get a 3 for 2.
They underestimated the damage from Blaber there. He says, oh, I can't get away? Well, I guess I'll just kill you then. He takes down 2 members, both the carries from TL, before he fell. And I don't think Alphari was expecting that because Alphari is posturing forward for the dive here. The initial play was great from TL. You can see the experience advantage from Tactical is disgusting. 3 levels up here because he is playing that marksman farming role. He's gotten the solo experience. Fudge does TP in, but then look at the Olaf. They don't actually want the Olaf to be able to run away. They're chasing after him, and he says, all right, okay, we want to fight, let's fight. In goes Jensen, flashes on top of him, trying to burst him down, not recognizing just how much damage he could get done. Jensen could have played that more slowly and surely killed him off without giving up his life, but instead he drops the summoner, drops the ultimate, and Blaber makes him pay big time. Alphari falling as well as he was diving in as the rest of his carries got cleaned up, and TL making a mistake again here, but they are still very far ahead.
3,500 gold lead. Now the thing I want to point out, Fudge has Moonstone Renewer and Ardent Sensor. Olaf is Olaf. He has support from a Senna as well.
That's a good point. He is
Only
Olaf.
applicators of Grievous Wounds on the enemy team is a Bramble Vest on Santorin, which remember is reactive Grievous Wounds, not proactive, and then an Executioner's Calling on Alphari. So they must make sure they have the proper focus from the champions who have Grievous Wounds to stop that healing from going crazy. Cloud9 is throwing down the gauntlet. They are demanding an answer from Team Liquid here at the Dragon Pit. Team Liquid rotating their mid laner over. Cloud9 doing the same. Perkz looking for Jensen off to the side, grabbing half his HP. Jensen running away. Santorin here on the front line. Pull coming out from CoreJJ, looking to take Vulcan low, but won't be able to take him down. Now Alphari goes in to finish it off as you got Blaber running wild here in the middle of everybody in a 1v4. Going to be taken low, but not before he gets the kill back at CoreJJ.
Perkz can get him.
Quarter himself, a double kill back to Alphari. The top lane presence from TL cannot be underestimated, but neither can the jungle of Cloud9. Blaber's Olaf is running wild as Jensen has to retreat here with the soldiers. You got 2 dead on C9, 1 dead on TL. Drake's still standing here on the map, and they are not done yet. Santorin still has half his HP to work with, still running around faster than a bat out of hell. The man's got the dead man's plate. No Turbo Kim tank ready to use here. Again, still 1 quarter remaining on the cooldown. Cloud9 is backed away. Alphari continuing to poke here with the boomerangs. Jensen healed up, got back into the fight now with the teleport. But as soon as he does, he's once again taking the aggro here from Perkz. Tacticals rejoined the fight. Vulcan and Zven are on the way, and they
Vulcan
have
has
the
his
Abyssal
ult.
Voyage to get it done. Tahm Kench ulti coming in. Team Liquid still sticking around, but it might be a mistake. They might have decided to stick around here too long, Isaac. They will not commit to the fight. The Dragon goes over to Cloud9, and they win the war of attrition.
That is huge because of what I was talking about earlier. They have the ability to again force TL's hand to get the 5v5 that they so desire here. And this was massive because Perkz actually tracking Jensen, keeping him out of the fight for so long, making him go the long way around. And then you can see the value of the Blitzcrank ultimate. As Vulcan has that massive gray health shield there, CoreJJ saves his ult, just knocks that straight down. Blaber almost getting burst down, but the Moonstone shields coming through here from Fudge, the healing coming through as he is landing that damage on the Karma, keeps him alive. And TL do not win the fight. And they still are ahead goal. Like, they're still in a pretty good position here, but if C9 get that Mountain Soul, they become so much more tanky. And when you're playing against these shielding comps, you have to hit a certain threshold of damage. You have to be able to break through that shielding and overwhelm them, or you just can't fight. And the Mountain Soul makes that much more difficult to be able to accomplish.
Okay, Team Liquid, they've got that lead.
They're going to start Baron.
3,500 gold. They're going after the Baron. Now they're challenging Cloud9 to come face check them, and it's CoreJJ waiting. CoreJJ with a knock-up and Perkz. Oh, he walks into the brush, not expecting the Team Liquid surprise, but CoreJJ says, welcome to NA. Blaber's coming in, trying to chase these guys down. Santorin continuing, trying to lead the way too. Udyr's going in. It's not just one pull, it's two. Olaf's here in the front line. He's backed up by the power of the ulti from the Senna. Santorin falling back. Alphari in the middle with a big three-man ultimate, and there's your follow-up from Tactical. Goodbye, Cloud9. Hello, TL. Fudge and Blaber are still there, but the boys are running for the hills, and Team Liquid is gunning for Baron Nashor.
Cloud9 had no vision in that bush. They didn't have any idea that Tactical and CoreJJ and the rest of the team were waiting for that turn. They saw them start it up on top of that Scuttle Crab. They knew that they were on the Baron, but CoreJJ was ready with the pick. Perkz thought he would be safe on the LeBlanc, having so much mobility, but the hook into silence, he just got absolutely burst down. And again, TL in our Honda performance play here, showing us why they are undefeated with this lineup, steps in, hooked in, silenced up, bursts down, not saving any cooldowns. They even commit the Azir ultimate, knowing they had to kill him off instantly. Then Cloud9, they know they can't afford to actually give up this Baron, so they feel they have to contest. They get them off the Baron, they look for the retreat here in what was initially a very good disengage. The hook even, eaten by Blaber. He goes in for the 4-man Gore Drinker, getting maximum healing, but as that expires, Alphari on the bottom side of your screen has mega'd out. He has been harassing the Tahm Kench, stacking up that rage bar this whole damn time. He knocks both the bot laners into the wall. In comes Tactical. They get the kills. They take the Baron, and again, TL are poised to end this game.
6,500 gold. Damage dealt in the last fight. It's hard to do any damage when you die in the blink of an eye. Perkz with a big old 0 in that one. You can see Blaber doing what he can in the middle of everybody, but man, an Olaf alone is not an army, not when Team Liquid is ready to deal with them like they have been here. Now you can see Tactical has the Grievous Wounds ready to go. He has the completed item for Grievous Wounds, amping the healing reduction up from 40 to 60. So now it's even more difficult for Blaber to survive when he dives in there against multiple opponents and depends on his drain tanking to keep him alive. Team Liquid continuing the 4-1 split with Alphari in the bottom lane. And when you're sending Fudge to stop him, you're only going to be a minor inconvenience. Fudge can do some damage, yes. You can throw out a couple of spells onto the minion waves, yes. But you have no real kill threat onto Alphari, who is immediately ready to deal with Perkz roaming down here as well. Perkz tries to trade with him, ends up losing the trade, gets a shield from Karma as he goes in, lands the chains. Team Liquid seeing this as the green light to go for the tier 3 turret back in mid. Yeah, Alphari lost over half his health, but cool. Now he's going to get back. He can teleport right back in here now and continue to support the team. You can see him doing just that. Mid lane inhibitor almost at half HP. Bottom lane turret nearly about to die as well. Alphari recognizes the situation and goes to make sure that the second inhibitor is ready to go after the first one falls. Cannon Minion still doing some work back mid. Jensen and Tactical help it out and take down inhib number 1. And right as that happens, their planning works out, and the bottom lane inhibitor is now exposed. Team Liquid continuing the push now. CoreJJ looking for the hook, goes after it, only finds it onto Vulcan. Now he's going to be your target. Cloud9 with the initiation. Blaber into the middle of everybody, going into the back line, looking for the carries, looking to grab Tactical, won't be able to find it. Still looking for Santorin now. CoreJJ going to be taken low, taken down. And now Cloud9's got to be careful. They've lost the Olaf. Vulcan's on the run, and Vulcan is dead. Alphari's on a rampage, and he continues jumping forward with a stun onto Fudge. The follow-up is there. Udyr goes in. The man's got it with the stun. It's a double kill over to Alphari. And only Perkz is left standing. Will Team Liquid just be able to end right here?
I think they can. Jensen wants to TP back in. They are going to try for the end here. It's up to Perkz. Can he make anything happen?
Perkz trying to outplay these guys in a 1v3, but no, sir, not today. Ace for Alphari, and Team Liquid will win the second game in a row here. They will take this one to match point and demand a reverse sweep from Cloud9 as the Nexus falls and TL takes game 2.
2 games in a row, they get the Baron, and they win the game immediately with that Baron. They are so adept at closing out these games. The attempt from Cloud9 in the bot lane there was very close to working, though. We saw that Blaber was almost able to take down multiple members with the Moonstone shielding, with the Locket shields from Tahm Kench, with the Senna ultimate over top. He was a hair's breadth away from running over that team fight, but that is the gold lead in action for TL. And they only are willing to give them that kind of fight once they were monstrously ahead, once they had the Baron buff, they had the positioning and the power to be able to deal with that 5v5. And I think, again, TL has really handled what Cloud9 wanted to do masterfully. They shut down Perkz. He really got nothing going with the LeBlanc. They found the picks with this Blitzcrank. They had the Blitzcrank ultimate to deal with so much of that AoE team shielding that Cloud9 drafted for, which I also think was really, really intelligent. And again, 4 bans towards Alphari. Who cares? The man still couldn't be matched in the side lane. He's 1v2ing your top laner and your mid laner at your base. And it's like, well, back to the drawing board.
They quadruple banned him. They picked a lane where obviously Fudge is set up to lose the 1v1. You're a support karma. But then you're banking that on being, okay, but he's going to have a huge impact in the team fights. I think Alphari still had a bigger impact in the team fights with multiple huge ultis. He was always where he needed to be. Damn, this guy is fun to watch here in the top lane, and I am loving to see it. But right now, we got to head to a break yet again. On the other side of that break, we're going to hear from the State Farm analyst.